What is up, everyone? Welcome to the stream with Noah Gayhart. I am Rob Rundle from Chalk Talk Nation. Welcome every Sunday night, every week at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We do live podcasts, and essentially we've been doing breakdowns across all divisions. And now we're just going to talk about weekly updates, what's been going on around Major League Baseball. And to start off first, Noah, I want to ask you this. Once again, it seems like Rob Manfred is holding out. We still have not heard anything from the Boston Red Sox. What do you think is going on? Do you think the coronavirus is really just the main focus right now with him? Because he seems to be putting it off even beforehand.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably what it is at this point. We spent the whole podcast last week talking about the MLB and the MLB Players Association trying to come to terms with, different stuff as far as payment and all and stuff like that, and when the season's going to start. And I think that that's just kind of been what Manfred's main focus has been right now. And I think until we can get to where we have a more concrete idea of what exactly the season's going to look like, I think that we're probably not going to hear much about the Red Sox thing.
Right. So maybe they have come to a conclusion of what they theoretically want to do, but we do need to wait to see when the season starts. A lot of people now are saying July 1, July 1st, just for the simple fact that, in Toronto, just in general, they're not allowing any public events. What is so funny? What's so funny, Noah?
Officer Custard put in the chat, Rob Manfred's focus is to make the absolute worst decision possible. And, the way that Manfred's been, as a commissioner to this point, it wouldn't surprise me. It really just seems like he doesn't like baseball. Do you get that vibe from him as well? Because that's how it comes off to me.
No, I kind of do too. I feel like it's more business essential type things, trying to implement new rules in the game and whatnot. And I can definitely see that. I mean, some rules I'm in favor for, I like us being able to hear the challenges between the umpires. That's cool. Mic up the players. That's fine. Everything. But, universal DH, 3-batter minimum, and I don't know. And there's just more and more that's going to start to come in the next couple of years. It's just kind of all haywire for me. I don't know. But, dude, it's like, I just want to know. Is it going to be anywhere close to the Astros punishment, or is it just going to be like, oh, okay, you know what, we'll suspend Cora for just like half a season or season 2 and stuff like that. It's just, I would feel like Cora would get at least 2 seasons, don't you think? Because he was part of the 2017 team and then the 2018 Red Sox. He won 2 World Series technically.
Yeah, I think Alex Cora is going to be the guy that gets hit the hardest by all of this. It wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they really, really wanted to make a statement about this, if they just banned him from baseball, just period. I think that would be, when you looked at like Pete Rose with the whole cheating thing, like he got banned from baseball, and that was just them setting the precedent like, hey, don't do this.
Dude, so, for real.
I think that this could be a situation where, because Alex Cora was a part of both of this, and then there was also the Apple Watch cheating thing back in 2018 as well that came out at the time. I think that so he's technically a repeat offender, and so because of that, I think that it wouldn't surprise me if they just either gave him a multiple-year suspension or just banned him from baseball in general.
I just think it's crazy how you could ban someone or not ban someone who has cheated to literally win a World Series, but then ban someone from baseball who gambled on their own team. And I don't know. It's such a gray area spot for most fans, but especially for Cincinnati Reds fans because of Pete Rose. Like, why is his ban not lifted? Because with everything going on with the Astros and the Red Sox, they've been trying to lift his ban, or he's been trying to, like, how do you see this worse than what I did?
Yeah, I think that he probably has a point that maybe that this is not, what he did is not as bad as what the Astros were doing. I think that's a fair point. I think the problem with Pete Rose is that he is such a piece of garbage human being that it makes it hard to unban him.
That's true.
Because statistically speaking, the man's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. I mean, sure, a lot of his stats are kind of accumulative because he played for forever. It seems like almost 25 years.
But still.
But at the same time, he put up good rate stats and stuff like that. Like, he's a Hall of Famer. But then you look at Pete Rose, the person, he's an absolute jerk. I mean, he's accused like sex offender. Like, let's not sweep that under the rug. Is like people it's like Cincinnati.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of like old time fans are like, no, Pete Rose did no wrong. He's this great human being, and it's like, well, not really if you actually look at it. So I think that's probably his issue at this point is overcoming who he is as a person compared to what he did, comparing it that way for baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could just leave it at that because we could just go into a rabbit hole with this. Let's transition a little bit into MLB The Show, what we've been doing or what we're trying to do. As everyone knows who's been watching every week or every day even, there's been streams on this channel for our custom league, the YouTube League Baseball, which next season it's going to be changed to the Twitch Baseball League because everyone's on Twitch. But I started doing a franchise. I do Road to the Show on off days and stuff like that. And Noah, I know that you still are wanting to do it. You're looking to get a capture card. What are you hoping to do with this channel? Because it seems like we are growing a little bit. We're halfway to affiliate, which is pretty cool. What are your plans for the future with, baseball being kind of shut down?
Yeah, so on my end, so obviously you've kind of taken the Road to the Show approach. We've got his name's escaping me right now, but you have the created guy.
I haven't done that one in forever. The Vinny Perazzo.
Yeah,
I've kind of been just doing mine.
Right, as well as your own personal Road to the Show guy. Mm-hmm. I know that you're currently right now doing a Marlins franchise rebuild where you're streaming like every day, like the actual game times.
Yeah.
I think the approach, so basically what we're waiting on is on my end is I need to get a capture card and a working solidly webcam. Basically, once that happens, I'm going to do more of like kind of an episode to episode type of franchise mode here on the YouTube channel, as well as streaming some of the games over on Twitch. But it'll be more of like a consistent what you would expect out of a franchise where it's going to be multiple seasons, going through the off season, doing stuff like that, like a full rebuild instead of kind of what you're seeing with what Rob's doing now with the Marlins, where he's playing every day, every game at like the actual time. So episodes might span like a couple weeks of the season at a time. It would be something more like that.
Yeah. No, that's what's really unique too. And Noah and I are completely different players. In franchise, I'm more of a free swinger because I don't know, it's like a mindset thing. When I play against someone online, it changes. But franchise, just offline, I'm a free swinger. But Noah, he's still sweaty. He's still, good as can be. It's insane. But it's going to be something cool that everyone should check out. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check us out on Twitch, just Chalk Talk Nation. Also, you can follow us on Twitter when you see scroll across the screen at Chalk Talk Nation as well. We haven't been able to post baseball updates on there. It's just strictly been Twitch and YouTube and whatnot because there hasn't been anything going on. We're still kind of waiting around like everyone else is. But as we wait around, I think it's unique to go around every position. So we know we had our special segment, the start one, cut one, bench one. We went around the diamond, just giving each other players. And now we're going to start off with first baseman today. First baseman, our top 10 first basemen. And we would love everyone in the chat. Tell us if you agree. Tell us if you disagree. And this is how, we come to a consensus and understanding. I think it's going to be really unique because I see things in different players that Noah may not see. So with that being said, should we start off with number 10?
Yeah, we do have a question from Officer Custer before we get into the action.
Okay.
Just wants to know why why your stream cut out so suddenly last night. I didn't get to watch your stream last night, so I kind of want to know as well.
Wow, salt to the wounds. So I was down 6-1 to Garrett Cole. Okay, I was playing in the custom league game. And I fought my way back. It was 6-4 in the top of the 9th inning with 2 outs. Jed Lowry was up. I was like, no, I'm going to pinch hit. I'll put Albert Pujols in. Albert Pujols hits a dinker line drive to right field. Runner on first. He has Aroldis Chapman in, by the way. So, okay, now I have my pitcher up. Now I have to pinch hit. It was between Chad Pinder or Steven Piscotty. Steven Piscotty's vision was better and had a little bit more better power. So I was like, okay, I'll put Piscotty in. And I hit well with him against lefties. Throws me an inside fastball. I tie the game with 2 outs on top of the 9th, 6-6. And then in the bottom half of the 9th, I sent it to extras. It's like the 11th inning at this point. So I was already my bullpen was bleak. So I didn't have that much to work with. and then somebody got a hit or a walk. Either way, the guy was on first base. I have JT Realmuto behind the plate. I slide step, and somehow, some way, he's safe at second. So there's 2 outs, runner on second, and he hits a dinker. I kid you not, that landed like 5 feet behind my first baseman, and he scored because there's 2 outs, and I lost. I really wasn't mad. People might think I was. I really wasn't because I have my buddies over here. But I'm glad it kind of ended because my bullpen would have been hurting bad if I would have kept the game going. So, I mean, it is what it is. He actually deserved that win. So, but that's what happened. So, thanks, Officer Custard.
So, I'm going to cut in real quick just to do some more promoting here. If you haven't checked out one of the Twitch streams, I implore you to please go do so. I'm not quite as entertaining to watch as what Robbie is. Like, I can tell you technically, here's what I'm doing. Here are the things that kind of make me like a good player, like the kind of things I look for. But if you're just looking for pure entertainment value, Robbie's the guy to watch. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I played him, I guess that's like a week ago now, maybe. I'll tweet the link out.
We had like 20 some viewers too.
Yeah, I'll tweet the link out to the video on the Twitter once we get done here with the podcast. But go watch it. One, it was a really good game. It was a close game. But, I mean, the things that Robbie said about me, obviously we're past it. I know Robbie loves me and we're good. We're not.
Yeah.
But go watch that. How mad he got was just hilarious. And it's just a good time. I'll tweet it out so you guys can go see that if you haven't already. But it's really good. And I definitely recommend going and watching Robbie play on Twitch.
Everyone loves when I get upset playing the game. And, I mean, I understand why. I go back and it is kind of funny, too. I think that's what makes Kevin God so funny. Because he's just always full of rage. And the things he says, it's just comical. And when I played Noah, it's bad. Like, it's really bad. I've only beaten him twice since July. And I'll tell you what, I'll tweet out the video, too, that I beat him in on Legend, the final inning. So, anyway, all right, let's dive into our top 10 first baseman. Who you got at number 10, big guy?
Yeah, so for me, and I get that this is a bit of a homer pick, but I've got Joseph Daniel Votto as my number 10.
I knew he was going to be in your top 10. I knew. Honestly, I thought he was going to be like number 8 or something.
There are a lot of people that you could go with at 10, but once you get down to like 9 and 10 and the list, at least when I found when I was when creating my list, is that you kind of get like this whole group of players that, you know, just start to blend together in terms of their skill level. So the reason I picked Joey Votto, 1, because I love Joey Votto, and 2, because I genuinely think that because of the other moves that the Reds went out and made this offseason, it sets him up in a better position to succeed. So they went out. So last year in the lineup, Suarez was the only protection Votto had in the lineup. I mean, let's be real about it. There weren't really that many guys, especially because the Reds dealt with injuries and stuff like that as well. Like, they just weren't that good. And that's kind of been the theme for the last 4 or 5 seasons. But what the Reds went out into this offseason, they pick up Mike Moustakas. They pick up Nick Castellanos. Suarez is now coming off of a 49 home run season, so people are taking him a bit more seriously at the plate. And so I think what they did is they went out and they took a lot of the offensive load off of Votto's shoulders. Now, am I saying that Joey Votto is going to be 2017 second place MVP candidate or 2010 MVP winner type of player anymore? No. But what I think he can be is a guy that hits 270, 280, gets on base close to 400, and then slugs somewhere in the low 400s. I don't think that's asking that. I mean, that's not 15 to 20 power in Great American Ballpark for home runs. Like, that's not anything insane. I think that's definitely doable for a guy like Joey Votto. And, you know, I think one of the things that also ultimately led to me putting him in this list is the swing changes he made last year. You can watch, if you go back and look at stuff from April or May and even into June last year, and we saw it because we watched a lot of games together at the beginning of the year last year, he just didn't look comfortable with the plate. He was doing these really weird swing things.
Dude, he did to like mid-June. It almost seemed like.
A lot of, like, he choked up, like, the hole at bat. It used to be he'd choke up with 2 strikes, just try and put the ball in play. The hole at bat, he was really low in his stance, and it didn't look right. And then you kind of get to the end of June, July, suddenly he wasn't choking up anymore. He was standing taller at the plate, and you can go and you can look at his like hard hit percentage and fly ball rates and stuff like that. Suddenly those numbers jumped and his hitting production went up. So I think towards the middle of the season, towards the end, he started hitting the ball with a lot more authority. And I think that'll carry over to this year once the season actually starts. So that's why I went with him as my number 10 pick. What about you?
I understand where you're coming from. I actually don't have him in my top 10 at all. I love Joseph Daniel Votto. I love him a lot. He's a friendly guy. He's a good baseball player, don't get me wrong. My biggest issue, though, is exactly what you said, with how he started out last year. And, yeah, it seemed like he did kind of figure things out towards the end of last year, but what's it going to be this year? So I'm just kind of like twiddling my thumbs a little bit, and maybe it does indirectly help him, the fact that there's more offensive threats now on the Reds that they have to look out for. But one thing that could be misleading to people is you might see a spike in RBIs or, runs created just for the simple fact that there are more guys capable to get on base, and that's something that could be a good thing or a bad thing. That'll show how things operate last year's team or even the last 3 years when the Reds have won 60 games. It'll be interesting to see. But for me, at my number 10, I have Luke Voit. Luke Voit, he's not very good defensively. Okay, my bottom four first basemen are not very good defensively. But what they do bring is, hey, I'm at the plate. You better be careful what you throw me. You know what I mean? So Luke Voit last year, 118 games, OPS of 842, not bad. He battled that sports hernia injury, elected not to get surgery. I think he did get surgery after the season, I believe, and it was good. Don't quote me on that, though. That's just I think that's what he did. But even in 2018, he had over 900 OPS. He was traded from the Cardinals in 2018, and the dude was immaculate. He just a lot of power and his swing and what he brings to that Yankee lineup, especially with a team that was battling a lot of injuries. And it seemed like he found his swagger, like he found what he's been looking for, for the first year and a half in the league in 2017. So I really like him, especially in that Yankees lineup. A lot of power, and the only issue with him, though, he does strike out a lot. He's kind of a make or break kind of guy. But most of the times, he hit 21 bombs last year, and it's 21 doubles, and even a triple. So it's there, but that's why I have him as my number 10.
Yeah, so I can go ahead and jump in quickly to my number 9 then, because I have Luke Voit as my number 9 on the list.
There you go.
Obviously, like you talked about, a guy not really known for his defense. At least to me, a guy that kind of seemed like he came out of nowhere 2 years ago. Like I remember he played for the Cardinals, and obviously that's a guy that, as a Reds fan, I would see him play, and he really didn't look all that great at the plate. Obviously, he was a big dude, and that's kind of like, oh, okay, maybe this dude's gonna crush the ball, and he really didn't do too much for the Cardinals. And then he goes to the Yankees. Suddenly he's hitting like 340, hitting a bomb out, it seems like, every night. You mentioned the sports hernia thing. He only played 118 games last year, but he still hit 21 home runs in those 118 games. Yeah. That's not bad.
No.
Still accumulated, depending on where you look at Baseball Reference or Fangraphs, 1.4, 1.7 WAR. That's not bad either, especially when you take into consideration the defensive hit that first basemen take is with WAR. 124 OPS plus. So even battling a sports hernia and injuries and stuff like that, still almost 25% above league average. And it's kind of the same thing like what I talked about with Votto, where with Luke Voit, like when you play in the Yankees, you got to pitch to somebody. I mean, when you look at the Yankees lineup, they've got Judge, they've got Stanton, Torres, Gary Sanchez behind the dish. Like eventually you're going to have to pick someone to throw strikes to in the lineup. And I think that because the other hitters in the Yankees lineup are so good, I think that that's kind of going to lead to Luke Voit seeing some better pitches to hit some more fastballs, because they're not going to want to walk him and then get to a guy like Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton with people on base. So I think he'll get good pitches to hit. I think if he's fully healthy, he's a guy that can crush the ball offensively. Yeah,
and I just did the math too. Every 10 at bats, he's getting an extra base hit. That's not bad at all. You can't complain with that, especially, yes, Yankee Stadium is a hitter-friendly ballpark, but I think he still puts these kind of numbers up if he's in a ballpark the size of Oakland or St. Louis, Detroit. He has so much raw power, and but I'd like to know what the at-bats are for per strikeout. It's probably like 3 or 4. So, but nah, dude, he's pretty good. I guess I'll kind of transition from you then, unless do you have anything else you want to say about Luke
No,
Voit?
I think I've covered it as far as that goes.
My number 9 is Josh Bell. Josh Bell is my number 9. It'd be funny if he was your number 8.
He is my number 8.
Oh my God, stop. Wow, so we're not too far off then. We're not too far off. Another guy still not known for his defense per se, but this is a guy who jumped onto the scene all of a sudden, really, in 2019, just playing a lot more power. His OPS almost jumped 200 points, which is huge. The slugging percentage in his first 3 years was 400, 450-ish, right around that range. Last year, 569. So, and you have to think too, that slugging percentage might have been in the 600-700s that first half of the season. He was on an absolute tear, MVP like type finalist that first half, and then after the home run derby, everything, it kind of got the curse to him, kind of like what happened to Frazier, and he just fell off. But even though he fell off, he still hit 277. His OBP was 90 points greater than that, which was 367. It's insane. The dude walked 74 times. He had 37 bombs, 37 doubles, and 3 triples. You want to talk about a guy hitting from both sides of the plate. You'll take that all day, especially at 27 years old. And, I mean, he's not like completely abysmal at first base, but, I mean, he just doesn't have the range per se. So that's why he's my number 9. So if you want to continue on with your number 8.
Yeah, so I have Josh Bell as my number 20, or as my number 8. I mean, the dude's only 27. I don't know if it feels like it for you. Maybe it just does for me because being a Reds fan, I see him consistently when I watch games. But it feels like he's been around a lot longer than just being a 27-year-old.
Yeah.
You mentioned that he was on an absolute tear, and you're right. He was in the first half. And even though he fell off in the second half, if you look at his OPS plus, it was still 143.
That's insane.
So, I mean, almost 50% above league average, and you played pretty bad the second half of the season, which is just like, it's insane to think about how good your first half had to have been.
Dude, yeah, for real.
And so, I mean, almost 2.5 to 3 WAR, depending on where you look for your WAR stat. But I mean, 37 home runs out of a switch hitter. I think you'll take that. I mean, it's just, he's a good player. I think he's going to get better. He's a guy that I think, if we continued to do this list year after year, I think he's a guy that's probably going to climb the list some here in the next couple of years. I think that if he can even if he doesn't play as well as he did in the first half, if he can put together seasons that are just like a full season of consistent level of play, I think he could be a dangerous bat in the NL Central for years to come.
Yeah, dude, he still has 2 years left until arbitration. So Pirates have, a good foundation there at first base. And Josh Bell, I'm pretty sure, can he play in the outfield? Does he play in the outfield at all?
He can play. Well, he hasn't played there in a few years.
That's why I thought
they played him in right field when he first came up. They played him out there a little bit,
Okay.
But he hasn't played there in a few years. So I guess technically if he had to, he probably would. But I mean, I guess maybe this year he might, considering that the Pirates don't have anything else. Maybe if they get some production out of another first baseman, they'll try and move him out in the outfield for a little bit, see how it works. But
I mean,
I'd be hard pressed to want to move him from where he's playing the best at.
Dude, I mean, Joe Musgrove, Trevor Williams, and then Mitch Keller coming up through the organization. In a couple years, maybe. I mean, maybe they'll start to climb back to their wild card type team back in 2014. So having him and Adam Frazier, that's going to be good for them. My number 8, and you're probably going to disagree with this, and that's perfectly fine. But for his age and for him to still produce the way he's producing, I got to go with Daniel Murphy. Daniel Murphy is my number 8 first baseman. He hasn't hit for a lot of power like he used to and whatnot, and the walks are kind of down, but for him to still, 279, 780 OPS, it's not bad. And he's had such a tremendous career, dude. He's hit 298 in his career, over an 800 OPS. I don't know, man. I love Daniel Murphy. I had to put him at number 8, man. 35 years old. Let's see. And he still has, could be his final year of his contract. It's a mutual option for 2021. So 78 ribbies in 132 games. But, I still like Daniel Murphy. It's my number 8.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta disagree with you on that one. I could see Now I'll say I don't have a problem with him being on your list. I can see the case made for like being number 10 on this list. It's kind of the same thing I talked about. I picked Joey Votto out of that group of players. You picked Daniel Murphy. Like that like it makes sense to me that he would fall towards like the 10 to like 14 type of range for a player because they're all kind of in that same mix. I don't know about number 8 though, especially when you look at the guys that you had behind him and Luke Voit and Josh Bell. I think that they're just far and away better players at this point, especially going into 2020. I mean, Josh Bell's 27, Luke Voigt's 29, and they're both guys that are getting consistently better when they're healthy. And at this point, I don't think that a 780 OPS that late in your career, with no real prospects as far as like getting better either, I don't know that I would have him that high on my list.
Listen, that was my favorite pick, and you had your favorite pick, so.
No, that's fine. I'm
just messing with you. Honestly, I agree with you. If I could redo this, I'd put Daniel Murphy at 10 for sure, 100%. So let's just say Luke Voigt's my number 9, Josh Bell's my number 8.
Okay, that works for me. I don't.
All right.
That doesn't really matter.
All right, who's your number 7?
So my number 7 is Carlos Santana. He's going to be 34 this year, 158 games last year for the Indians.
Forgot about Carlos Santana.
Hit 281 with a 397 OBP, 515 slugging. That comes out to a 911 OPS. 34 bombs last year, 136 OPS plus. So he was up there offensively. Put up 4.6 B WAR, 4.4 F WAR. I mean, the dude he gets on base. He mashes at the plate. Switch hitter, which is also, it's a nice thing to have. I think that next year there's probably going to be a little bit of a regression from him. His batting average and balls in play was a little high compared to what his career was, but it was really cool to see because he played for the Indians up until 2 years ago. He played pretty well for the Indians. He left and went to the Phillies for a year, and he struggled the entire season. And then he comes back this year to the Indians, and suddenly maybe it's something of a comfort thing or their hitting coach or something just really vibes with him the right way, where he comes back to Cleveland again and then suddenly just starts mashing again. So I don't know. He's my number 7. I think that the way that his approach is at the plate, he's got a really good feel for the strike zone, and I don't know. I've got him as my number 7.
Okay. I have another guy that meshes a lot of home runs as my number 7. Not Carlos Santana. I honestly forgot about Carlos Santana, and I'm really mad at myself for that reason. But my number 7 is Jose Abreu. Jose Abreu, guy hit 284 last year, 503 slugging, and 833 OPS. He doesn't walk a lot. The dude mashes baseballs. 33 bombs, 38 doubles, and a triple, and 634 at-bats. Played almost every game. For the age 33 season, I kind of thought in the previous 2 years, like in 2017, 2018, I was like, okay, this is where he's starting to regress and everything like that, like starting to come down to earth. No, like he totally revamped himself in 2019, and now with this year, with the lineup that they have, I really see him just booming, just excelling. He's 33 still, which is, I'd say 33 is 2 years past like your absolute final prime. So, and at that age for him, I could see him still progressing. It's going to be nasty. He's not that great. He's pretty abysmal at first base still, but he's getting better. I don't know what his WAR was from last year, but dude, the man can just mash some baseballs. So that's my number 7.
Yeah, I kind of went the other way from how you did. He was another guy that I thought about a lot on putting on my list, and ultimately I ended up not doing it. But the reason why you said that you kind of felt that he turned around his career was kind of how I discounted him a little bit and kind of kept him off the list. Like you said, he struggled, the past few seasons before last season, and then suddenly he has this offensive great awakening in his mid-30s. I don't know how much I trust that. I think part of with a lot of what we saw with a lot of players last year is suddenly people are producing insane offensive numbers, and I think you can attribute a lot of that to the baseball that MLB refuses to tell the truth about, even 6 months past the season at this point. But
those balls were juiced.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't make the cut for me. I definitely see the argument for putting him on your list, and he's a guy that deserves some recognition. And I think you're right. He is a guy that there's a chance that with their kind of revamped lineup and what they did in the offseason, that he could be a guy that produces. I just don't think that he'll be kind of the center of their lineup for any period of time to come. So for my number 6, I went with a guy that probably was in the top 2 or 3 for a lot of people the past couple of years, and that's Paul Goldschmidt. He's going to be 32 this year. 161 games last year, hit 260, 346, 476 slugging. It's an 821 OPS. He's a guy that really struggled last year, which is interesting, especially with what we just talked about with how the balls.
And those numbers are still pretty good. This is a guy who usually gets an OPS over 900.
Yeah, this is a guy that put up 2.4, 2.9 WAR, depending on where you look, and he struggled mightily at the plate. Now, part of this, and this is something I've talked about in the past, kind of when we talked about Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada, I talked about how their super high batting average on balls in play kind of meant that they were probably going to regress some. Paul Goldschmidt is kind of like the opposite. So last year he had a batting average in balls in play of 302, and his career batting average in balls in play was 348. So this is a guy who's 46 points below what his usual average on balls that he puts in play. And so I think that is probably a reason that the numbers kind of fell so drastically for him, especially when he was able to still put up 34 home runs, which is, kind of in the ballpark for where he normally is. I think that just he got really unlucky at the plate last year when he was putting the ball, in play. Probably had a bunch of lineouts, I'm sure it was a really frustrating season for him, but I would imagine that his numbers are probably going to bounce back at least some to where they used to be. Obviously, I've still got him at 6, so I don't think he's going to bounce back all the way because he is kind of getting to that tail end of what we kind of think is players' primes. But I don't know. That's my number 6. What do you have?
You're going to laugh at me, but it's okay. I don't want to tell you. My number 6 is Rhys Hoskins.
Okay.
I'm like, I know you're laughing at me inside your head, and I don't like it.
I'm not laughing. I would like to hear your reasoning though for number 6, because he's a guy. He doesn't
another
hit
one
for
of those
guys that I was like, okay, he's a guy that I might have like 9 or 10 on my list. So I'm curious why you have him, this high.
I think Philadelphia is really starting to find their niche, like what's like theirs. You finally have a year with Harper under your belt. Hoskins, with his rookie year was in the outfield. Now he's transitioned to first base. So he had a 1.5 WAR last year. Take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But, I mean, the dude still mashes. Like, I'm more of an offensive guy when I look at production, and you're kind of more like a whole sense kind of guy, which makes your argument, like, a lot more logical. But for me, it's like, he still has over an 800 OPS when he hits 246, 226. Like, you can't just look at average and stuff like that. His OBP is always 100 points higher than his batting average. So I like Rhys Hoskins a lot, man. Hit 29 bombs last year and 34 in 2018. And dude, he still has yet to hit his prime. I'd say this next coming year or two will be his prime. And maybe he's just kind of like Whit Merrifield. Maybe he's a late bloomer. Maybe now we'll start to see him just take off. But I really like Rhys Hoskins, man. That's why I have him as my number 6.
Yeah, well, I mean, while I don't agree with you at having him at number 6, I kind of hope you're right, because when he's just firing on all cylinders, he's just a super fun guy to watch play. It seems like every time when he's hitting the ball well, it seems like almost every time up's a home run. A guy that we've mentioned a few times on this podcast, Aquino. I mean, you even coined the Aquino effect term, but yep. It's kind of like when he was going through that super hot August last year, it seemed like every time they were talking about what his home run pace was, Rhys Hoskins was the guy that they were comparing him to. And so I think that if Rhys Hoskins can kind of maybe make some adjustments, figure out how to put more consistent bat to the ball, because I think that's kind of the thing is his average is super low, and I think that's kind of what's hurting him, because like you said, he walks a lot. I mean,
he takes too many pitches. Difference.
I think if he can just find some more pitches to hit, I think that he's a guy that could jump up this list. I think part of that too also falls on Harper had kind of a down year last year, and I think that makes a difference as well, because when you look at the protection in the lineup, obviously that's something I've talked about that a decent amount already in this podcast, so I'm not going to rehash all of it, but not having that kind of protection in the lineup makes you an easier guy to go after, because suddenly you can throw a bunch of sliders down and away in the dirt or changeups in the dirt and try and get him to chase, because you can walk him and not have to worry about the next guy behind him in the lineup hitting with a guy on base. And so I think that it might be one of those things where as we see Harper have better seasons, I think we're also going to see Hoskins have better seasons as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. What's your number 5?
Yeah, so I think this might be the point in this list where we're probably going to have the same players. Maybe not necessarily the same order, but at least looking at the guys I have left, I hope they're in your top 10.
Well, let me just tell you one thing. I'm just going to get out of the way. My number 5 is Paul Goldschmidt, and I'm not going to say anything about him because you already did. So
okay, yeah.
But you go with your number 5.
Yeah, so my number 5 I have is Anthony Rizzo. So 146 games last year, 293 average, 405 OBP, 520 slugging, 137 OPS plus, roughly 4 WAR last year. He's just been one of those guys that's just been consistent his whole career. Never anything that's just going to jump off the page power numbers a lot. It's 27 home runs last year. That's not insane, but that's good production for the middle of your lineup. You look at his slash line, roughly 100 points between each average on base percentage and slugging percentage. He's a guy that gives you good defense. I think he won the Gold Glove for National League first baseman last year. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but I think it is. So he's a guy that helps you on both sides of the ball, hits well, hits good average, takes a lot of walks. He's just a good piece for the middle of the lineup. And so I've got him as my 5.
Okay. And I got Goldschmidt as my number 5, so.
Hey, do you want to go ahead and jump into your 4? Break me up from talking for a little bit.
That's actually a good idea. My number 4 is Anthony Rizzo. Surprise, surprise. Dude, Anthony Rizzo, I really liked when last year Joe Madden put him as the leadoff guy. It's kind of crazy to think that you could have somebody who hits for raw power, put him in the number 1 spot, and still have the level of production he did, 94 RBIs. Dude, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy, over 900. He had a 925 OPS, hitting 293, and he hasn't regressed really at all. And especially for the Cubs, they could really use him and use his production. They need him. They need him a lot, especially with their pitching going down. His offensive production is really going to help solidify that unit if they can stay healthy and whatnot. So Anthony Rizzo is my number 4. Who's your number 4? Don't disappoint me.
My number 4, and you might think it's a little low. I'm not really sure.
Here we go. I already know who.
But I have Pete Alonso as my number 4 on the list.
Interesting.
Is that who you thought I was going to say?
No, I'm not going to. No.
Okay. Well, 161 games last year, 260, 358, 583, 53 home runs, OPS plus almost 148, 5.2 B-WAR, 4.8 F-WAR. We're getting to the point now where everybody on these lists are putting up pretty stupid numbers as far as production goes. For me, I'm kind of a big believer in at least some regression your second year in the league. Kind of like a sophomore slump, I guess would be the way to put it. I don't think he's going to come out and put up 53 home runs with 150 OPS plus.
Just like Aaron Judge. Just like Aaron Judge in 2018.
So just like Aaron Judge, or the guy that I thought of was Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
He was amazing when he first came up, struggled a little bit his second year, and now look at him, he's the top 5 player in the league. I think that Pete Alonso could follow that same trek, but I think that what we're going to see is that pitchers, after a full season and a whole off season, they're going to figure out how to pitch around him, and I think it's going to take a bit of adjusting on his end to then adjust back. So I think that his numbers and production is going to drop a little bit as far as this year. But he's still a hell of a player, and he's only 25, so it's not like he'll be at the top of this list for a while, or towards the top.
100%. No, I completely agree with you about Pete Alonso. Should I give you my number 3?
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Say it for me.
It could be any number of guys. I'm not sure who.
Matt Olson, baby. It's my dude. Matt Olson. You want to talk about a Gold Glove guy right here. Won the Platinum Glove in 2018. Won the Gold Glove last year in 2019. Dude, this guy is just raw, okay? I'm not talking about Justin Nolby, the show. He's disgusting, and it really sucks that this is his last year before arbitration and he's not going to be here any longer. So I'm going to enjoy my time with him as much as possible. Matt Olson, dude, he missed a whole month of a season due to a hamate bone injury. Listen to these numbers. In 483 at-bats, dude hit 36 bombs, okay? 91 RBIs. His slugging percentage was 545. OPS plus 137, OPS 896. Dude, he missed a whole month of the season. Like, we're talking MVP type season right here, folks. 5.4 WAR, disgusting. His career WAR is 12.2. He's been in the league for 3 seasons. Raw. Dude, he would have easily probably eclipsed 50 home runs this year if he didn't miss that season. And for him to keep putting that just putting that all out there in the field. Like, I have so much in my head I can't even speak right now. And, I was worried about him falling off, people figuring him out. No. Dude just is just a spray hitter, can hit the ball raw power to all parts of the field. And I could go on and on about him, so I'm just going to stop there. Matt Olson's my number 3.
Okay. My number 3
Unbiased opinion, by the way.
Is Max Muncy. 29 years old. 141 games last year, former Oakland Athletic reject, now Dodgers star. 251 average, 374 BP, 515 slugging, OPS just shy of 900, 35 home runs, put up 5.7 baseball reference WAR, 4.8 Fangraphs WAR. I mean, the dude just absolutely mashes the ball. Obviously, the average is a little low at 250, but he kind of makes up for that because his OBP is 120 points higher. So it's a guy that has a good feel for the strike zone, gets a lot of walks. And another thing that's really cool about Max Muncy is the positional versatility. Obviously, he's listed as a first baseman, but he also plays a decent amount of innings at second and third base as well. And I think when you look at a team like the Dodgers that have so many different really, really good players, anytime that you can have a guy that's versatile and you can move him around to try and get as many good bats in the lineup, I think that kind of adds to the value that a guy like him has.
No, I agree. And I'm going to be honest with you. That's the only reason I didn't put him in my top 10 list, was because he is a versatile player. He can play the positions. Mostly he does play first, but, the dude is raw. I miss him a lot. Just imagine if he was still with Oakland.
Yeah, she shouldn't have DFA'd him.
Yeah, that's what they get, right? Oh, man. All right, well, my number 2 is the polar bear. Surprising. I had that same... I'm still worried about how he's going to, fare out for sophomore season. I do think, like you said, the whole Aaron Judge, his 2018, we kind of saw him come back to life a little bit. And I think we're going to see Alonso. He's not going to hit 53 home runs. We can all agree on that. But he'll still be a guy who hits over 30. Absolutely raw power. He's 25, dude. And, I'm not going to go into all the things you already said about him, but he's not bad defensively either. For a big guy, he can move. He can, he can pick. He can backhand, whatever. So he's my number 2. What's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Freddie Freeman. So he's 30. He's going to be 30 this year. 158 games played last season. 295, 389, 549, 38 home runs. Roughly, I think he had 4 WAR in both Baseball Reference and Fangraphs. And he put those numbers up, and it kind of came out. We mentioned this, I guess, a couple podcasts ago, that he's been playing injured his entire career. He finally got surgery on his elbow and had some bone spurs or something removed, and he said that he feels 100% healthy for the first time in his career. So I think that that's kind of going to boost his numbers a little bit. And then on top of that, what I talked about earlier with Paul Goldschmidt, his batting average in balls in play was 30 points below what his career average was. So I think that that's going to also improve his numbers a little bit. He's a guy that could play first or third base. It just absolutely mashes from the left side of the plate, and that's why I've got him as my number 2.
Dude, I am so mind baffled right now. I'm trying to figure out who your number 1 is. Don't tell me. Dude, my number 1's Freddie Freeman.
Okay.
Hold on, no, stop. Don't say a freaking word, Noah. I'm trying to... Who am I forgetting? Am I going to be mad when you say it? 100%? Am I going to be mad?
I mean, I don't think I'd be mad.
Don't tell me yet. Dude, wait, who could it be? I'm trying to figure out who it could be anyway. Freddie Freeman is my number 1. Last year had a 4 WAR. Very good for a first baseman. Dude mashes balls. 38 home runs. Dude, I don't care about his elbow injury. You look at his numbers. The dude is just disgusting. Since 2016, 968 OPS. 2017, 989 OPS. 2018, 892. And last year, 938. Those are MVP elite years in OPS. OPS plus, well over 100. Freddie Freeman's disgusting. He's a picking machine. He's a Gold Glove winner. You love to see the guy. My gosh. Freddie Freeman, my number 1 first baseman in the league. Who's your number one? Give me a hint, please.
I'm not. There's no need for me to give you a hint. My number one first baseman is Matt Olson, 26 years old. Absolutely matches from the left side of the plate.
An idiot. You know what? I can't believe. If any Oakland Athletics fans are watching, please know that I am. But it's like, just don't feel like I'm being disrespectful. I'm not. I totally forgot about my own favorite team's first baseman that I said early on. Just go.
Yeah, I mean, you already covered it to an extent. He's one of those guys I really didn't know all that much about coming into last season. I didn't really know who he was till that. And I found that the more that I've looked at Matt Olson as a player and the more I've watched him play, the more I've just fallen in love with how good he is as a player. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for you as an Athletics fan because I doubt Billy Beane's going to shell out the money that this man's going to earn in free agency. But, like you talked about, he missed a whole month of the season last year, still 4 thousandths of a point below 900 OPS, 36 home runs, almost a 140 OPS plus, put up 5.5 Baseball Reference WAR, absolute elite defense, hits moonshots from the left side of the plate. He's only 26. He's going to get better. He's just now entering his prime. He's just going to be insane here in 2 or 3 years. I think he's a stud. I've got as my number one.
I love you.
Love you too, Rob.
I love you a lot. Thank you for that. I needed that. That made my day better. Dude, Matt Olson, man. Let's just talk about Matt Olson for a second here. Dude, with the Athletics, they're going to have to decide, do you want Matt Chapman or do you want Matt Olson? Do you know how much that sucks? They're not going to be able to afford both of them. I see Matt Chapman going to the Cardinals. Tell me that's not a good fit.
I mean, it would be, but they might go out and get Nolan Arenado before that.
Still, Matt Chapman's going to be gone. If I had to choose between Matt Chapman or Matt Olson, dude, I don't even want to think about that. God, this is the last year, dude. This sucks. After this year, I don't know if we're going to be good. I don't know.
I think you'll still be good. You guys always find a way to be good somehow. You'll get some other stud somehow, but just out of nowhere. Sheldon Noisy will turn into an all-star.
I hate that guy. He might be number 3 on the list after Brett Lawrie and Cole Calhoun. I just hate his name. Anyway, so that's our top 10. So I'll repeat my top 5, and you repeat your top 5 at least.
Yep.
My number 5 is Paul Goldschmidt. My number 4 is Anthony Rizzo. My number 3 is Matt Olson. My number 2 is Pete Alonso, and number 1 is Freddie Freeman for me.
Okay, my number 5 was Rizzo. Number 4, Polar Bear Pete Alonso. Number 3, Max Muncy. Number 2, Freddie Freeman. And number 1, the best first baseman in real life and in MLB The Show, Matt Olson.
Wait, can you say that last part again?
Said the best first baseman in the MLB and in MLB The Show, Matt Olson.
Thanks. I just wanted to hear that. So that's our top 10. Coming next week, we will do top 10 second baseman. You want to do that?
Sure, me.
All right, so next week we will do top 10 second baseman across Major League Baseball.
I will say, let's put an asterisk on that. If some actual baseball news comes out, then we'll kind of put a pause on this series. I think this will kind of be when there's nothing going on, we'll throw this in so that we've got something to talk about. So if a bunch of news breaks maybe on the Red Sox stuff and maybe they come with more season decisions, we'll talk about that. But otherwise, plan on another position top 10.
Yep. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Rob_Rundle, at Noah_Gayhart, and our collective Twitter at Chalk Talk Nation. Follow us on Twitch, Chalk Talk Nation. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're everywhere. If you just search us, you'll find us. That's how we roll. That's how we roll here in the greater Cincinnati area. But be sure to wash your hands. Be smart about the social distancing thing. And we will see you guys soon. Watch out for future streams. Take care, everybody.